So somebody made a post saying that please do not harass people for ignoring or disliking the story. And this is really kind of part of a larger issue that I've seen, where people get, I feel like it's ironic for me to say this, a little bit cult-like about the game, and get super defensive about anybody that has any kind of problem with anything in the game. Like, I know that I meme on that, and I do that sometimes, but I don't really always do it. Like, I'm memeing when I do that, but there's a lot of people that do that, and they're completely serious about it. He said, I need to stress that if you love the story and think more people should experience it, that's fine. I also need to stress that I'm not talking about players who skip everything and write essays about how bad the story is. Fair. Those people are dumb. I don't think they're common enough to be worth complaining about. What I want to highlight is the alarming number of players who think it's okay to literally bully people for not being invested in the story. I recognize that much of the community loves the narrative, and that's a considerably large component of the game. But it's not the only thing that the game has to offer, and you don't have to care about the writing at all to enjoy it as an MMO. I completely agree, and it's just like, I feel like a lot of people latch on to what they feel is the general opinion about something, and whenever they encounter somebody that has a different or opposite opinion to what's the general opinion, they get really toxic about it. People are not going to enjoy the same things you do, and that's okay. It's like, is it? I remember a time when people realized that everyone has a different perspective on everything. I don't. I don't remember that. But I do feel like more self-aware these days of what kind of an echo chamber you can get stuck in social media. Like, if you scroll a lot of Facebook, if you scroll a lot of Twitter, right, you are eventually gonna start seeing a ton of posts that agree with you on everything that you like. Like, you're gonna see posts from people that agree with you on politics, that agree with you on, like, different opinions you might have about different forms of media. And, like, you have to consciously remind yourself that what you're seeing is not actually the majority opinion, but what you're seeing is it's a curated feed that's designed to get you to stay in the app and feel like everyone agrees with you and it feels good. So I want to stay in this app because I feel safe and like everyone likes me here, and I agree with everyone. There's no arguments here because everyone is on the same page with me. Like, that's a comfort to be in. That's a comfort zone, and that's something that an app would strive to build for you so that you don't want to get mad and leave the app. But it's also a really distorted view of reality, you know. You said, I love the diversity of experiences in this game. I'm someone who loves the story, but my friend only like skimmed the story and mainly just crafts, gathers, and they love the game just as much as me. And I love that personally. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people who have told me that they don't care about story, but they love the raiding. Like, they just love the raid design, they love the battle design, they like the way their job works, and that's what they're in it for. So, I mean, that's good. Having more people playing the game, more people playing tanks and healers, so that I don't have to. That's good. Zammy Blade, thanks for the 5-month resub. So Z said, I did the same thing until Shadowbringers. Then I loved Stormblood story. Oh, you mean Shadowbringers? You put SB. Shadowbringers probably. Created a new character and played through the entire story from the start. That's what I tell people too. Like, I have told, in fact, there was a little bit of an argument. I wouldn't say argument, but like a discussion that was had on Twitter over the weekend that's relevant to this. After 2+ years, I finally cleared Realm Reborn in Final Fantasy XIV. People told me to skip it, but I didn't want to miss out on the story. Now that I've played it, I can safely say you should skip Realm Reborn. Now, this is opinion of somebody that played through Realm Reborn, didn't like it, wished they skipped it. And I've talked to and heard from tons of people like that whenever I made the video a while back called, should you use a skip in FFXIV? Should you use a skip? Should you buy a skip? Now, I made this video in 2020. So it's pretty old. But this is a video that I made a long time ago. Should you buy a skip? Where I talked to people who bought the skip and were glad they did, people who bought the skip and regretted that they did, people who wish they bought a skip, who people never bought a skip. We talked to all these different kinds of people in this video, and it's still valid. Like, all these points are still current, I would say. But I always remember the different discussions that I had with people in this video, because a lot of people didn't say that they skipped Realm Reborn and were glad that they didn't, right? And I also talked about level skips in here. Obviously, level skips are different than story skips, but it's going to be different for everybody, and you just need to decide if it's going to be right for you or not to buy a level skip or a story skip. But I don't think that, like, basically, I replied to this, and I said that, let me see if I can find my. Basically, it's better if you skip. If you're not having a good time, it's better if you skip than quit, because you're not having a good time. It's much better to skip and then continue to play the game, and then maybe later on you will you'll be more invested, and you'll maybe do Realm Reborn and New Game Plus later. Like, then that's a better outcome than if you just skipped in Realm Reborn. And there was a whole discussion about this. Like, when I said this, it's better to skip if you're not having a good time. If you tried it and you're not having fun and you skipped, it's better to do that. Just skip Realm Reborn so you don't miss out on everything that comes later. There were people that came back at me and were like, oh, are you saying that Realm Reborn sucks? Are you saying that, and people were like defending Realm Reborn and saying, oh, Realm Reborn is actually really good, and Realm Reborn sets up all these things in the future. And yeah, obviously that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, this is actually not a comment on the quality of Realm Reborn or what it provides to the story or the framework that it builds upon, the foundation that you get for the rest of the game. I'm not talking about any of that. It's really a question of skip it and continue playing, maybe with the chance that maybe you come back and play later, or quit. For some people, that's their choice that they're looking at, and I think there's one of those choices that's better than the other one, and saying that, I think, doesn't make any statement on the quality of what Realm Reborn is or what it provides. So in my perfect world, everybody would love Realm Reborn and Stormblood and Heavensward and every expansion and love it and have a great time the whole way through. But not everybody's like that. You know, different people are grabbed by different things. And, like, can you really... As much as I actually did like Realm Reborn, I don't know if you can compare it to something like Shadowbringers, where I think most people agree that an expansion like Shadowbringers grabs you from the start. And it does not let up for the entire expansion. It is, like, a relentless experience, where, like, every single cutscene is powerful. It's not like that with Realm Reborn. Okay. There's actually a lot of stuff you have to read still in Realm Reborn. And because of that, a lot of people are just not grabbed right away. And it was just created in a different time. But a lot of people misinterpreted this, thinking that I'm saying I don't like Realm Reborn, so I had to go back later and be like, well, you guys, I'm not saying I didn't like Realm Reborn, but it's just better for someone to skip it than miss a story if they hate it. Okay. That's it. That's all I'm trying to say. And the reason I bring that up is because I feel like it's relevant to this discussion here, this thread, where people really struggle with the idea that somebody else is not going to enjoy something the way that they did. And I feel like if you pressure somebody and bully them into they have to like this thing the way that you did, you're going to alienate them. You're going to push them out of the game. You're going to get them to quit. Like, if you can't accept the fact that different people will experience the story differently than you, and they might be grabbed by things differently than you. They might not even like things that you do. Like, you have to be able to accept that if you want them to be able to, you know, exist alongside you in the game world and have more people playing. Because actually relevant to this too is there's another thread on the general forums about people who did not like Endwalker, which is a super unpopular opinion in the community. I think in general most people loved Endwalker, and myself included. I loved Endwalker, but I had some of those people that were talking about that actually reach out to me a while ago and said that they felt incredibly alienated with their opinion about Endwalker's story. Like, people who didn't like it have felt really ostracized and alienated by the people that do, and feel like constantly attacked for just not liking it as much as other people did. And that sucks. I mean, that sucks. People are going to enjoy things different from how you enjoy them. You need to be okay with that. Like, just imagine for a second, like, if you've played Endwalker and you loved it, or Shadowbringers and you loved it, imagine for a second that you didn't. Imagine for a second that that it just did not vibe with you, that you hated it. Like, it's got to be difficult to even talk about that with other people, because you'll just constantly be have people like wave you to the side, not really listening to you, not wanting to listen to you about that. And I feel like that kind of sucks. You said the problem with that thread is that there are people that are borderline or completely delusional. I mean, maybe, but let them be, right? It's art. It's a story. It's okay for people to have delusional takes on a story or on art, or to have like an insane take that I personally feel is wrong. I don't agree, but it's art, so it's fine for them to have that. Like, it's good to have a variety of opinions about art, and for people to see things in different ways, to have different perspectives on things. And that does mean that not everybody will like it to the same degree, but that's just how it is. Bullying people for playing it the wrong way doesn't give any life-changing realization about the narrative, and just builds resentment and makes folks even less likely to play it the way you personally feel is correct. Or worse, they'll quit playing entirely, even if they otherwise enjoy the core gameplay, and that's not a good thing. I completely agree with this. I completely agree. I'm a little biased because I'm speaking from personal experience, having faced the brunt of this harassment myself. It doesn't matter how important the story is, or that it's a Final Fantasy game first. Harassing people or for having personal preferences should not be acceptable behavior. I completely agree with this post. I think it's a really excellent post. It's a good reminder to people, because man, like, it is easy, I feel, for some people to become almost fanatical about the devotion to the game's story and the game in general, and to alienate people that think differently, and like even attack them or harassing them because they said something that you don't agree with. And that's always going to be present on the internet. But like, remember, it is just a story. You said I was watching a COD player playing Uncharted 4 and said it was boring. While I love the story like others, some people don't want to watch cutscenes. They want to play a game. I got a few friends like this as well. Yeah, I've seen people like that. I kind of struggle sometimes with Final Fantasy XIV story, because there's so much. A lot of times there's a lot of cutscene watching and not a lot of fighting and killing. And like, I actually remember in the Endwalker story, there was like long stretches where even I felt like I wanted to fight a little bit more and be a little bit more actively engaged in like doing stuff in between all the cutscenes, even though I don't mind sitting through tons of cutscenes. But in the same breath, it's fine to respond to someone's take if they're going out of their way to post about it on the forum. True. Very good point. Yeah, posting on a public forum, then getting salty about the response is dumb. Absolutely true. Yeah, like if you post something on a general forum, you should expect to get all kinds of responses, and not all of them are going to be agreeing with you. You can't be like, what? You can't be shocked that people do have a different opinion, but there's a way to be civil about it, and there's a way to not be civil about it. Like, there's a way to have a discussion, and there's a way to do it to harass and attack people. I think there's two completely different styles of communication. It's the pacing of it. It's a slow burn story, and that doesn't sit with everyone perfectly. Yeah, another thing I would say about Endwalker, without being spoilery or anything, is that there are parts of the story that are very emotional, at least from my perspective. that hit really hard. And then it felt like there were parts where they didn't want to do that to you nonstop. And there's parts where it's more chill and more relaxed between those heavy hitting emotional moments. I think they put that in there intentionally so people could like recover emotionally from moments that the team felt would be intense for the player. But for the people that didn't experience that intensity of emotion on those major plot points, when they then got to the more chill parts that were meant to be the relaxing point between emotional moments, they felt like, well, I didn't care about that thing that just happened, and now I really don't care about this next thing that's happening. And you see how like that could just sort of drag on for someone that isn't enjoying it in the way that the devs believed most people would, and the way that most people actually did. Don't make people afraid to share their opinion about an expansion or about a thing that you liked. Like, everybody should be able to share the things that they feel about it. Because actually, while you might not agree with somebody 100% on all the problems that they had with something, you're probably going to find some things that you do agree with, that you both liked and that you both didn't like. So, I don't know why you would want to surround yourself with people that just, circle jerk you constantly and agree with you about everything you say. Like, isn't that boring? Isn't that boring? What's interesting about that? You can just talk to yourself. We talked about that a little bit on the stream before, like the potential for them to just make you start a brand new adventure and then a new player could skip straight to the new adventure starting with 7.0 and beyond. But I think that would not work because of all of the... You would be essentially locked out of all the raids, trials, stories, and dungeons from before 7.0. So I feel like you'd be limiting yourself a lot, but it does feel like it would help a lot ease the barrier to entry for new players. I wouldn't mind it. Like, I wouldn't mind it. Them having a brand new fresh start for new people. Everybody can jump in, and if you're a new player and you want to unlock the old shit, then you can go do it, and maybe separately. But I don't know how they would do it, because it just feels like it's starting. It will get to an overwhelming point. We're looking at the next 10 years of the game. We've already had 10 years of the game. We're looking at the next 10 years of the game. Like, imagine 5, 6, 7 years from now, a new player comes in and you're like, hi, well, you need to do the last 17 years of the game, and then you're going to be able to get up to date with, like, it's already, if you want to start right now, it's going to take hundreds of hours for you to get to end game. So, I mean, I would really be happy to see a little bit, like a way to provide a different access point to story sagas. But it's complicated. It's a very complicated problem. And I think they're not going to do that. I think they're probably just going to keep going the way that they're going. They're just going to keep going the way they're going. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. And that's it. Like, force everybody to play every single thing that they ever released in order, in chronological order.